Hi, I am PixelPia, and you are welcome to this experimental podcast series. What you're about to hear is completely AI generated, from the research to the conversations between two AI voices. Using NotebookLM, I've let AI create these episodes based on articles found online. My goal here is to explore the creative potential of AI and see just how far it can go. Everything, including the visuals, is AI made. So after this intro, you'll be hearing the AI takeover. Let's dive into today's AI-driven conversation.
All right, so get this. We're diving into AI art today.
Okay.
But specifically, how to make your Midjourney creations really pop.
Okay, yeah.
We're talking lighting techniques, and you sent over a ton of stuff. Articles, tutorials, all of it.
Yeah, I did.
It's amazing. It's like a crash course in digital cinematography.
It really is. And one of the things that's so cool, it's amazing how all these sources highlight how even with AI art, lighting is just, it's everything. It's what takes an image from oh, that's kind of neat, to, oh, wow, this is incredible.
Totally. There was this one article, I think I was skimming through it earlier, and it even compared it to having a whole film crew at your command.
Really?
But instead of needing the cameras and the lights and all that, you're using the right words to tell Midjourney exactly what you want.
Oh, that's a really good point. And that's what's so interesting about it, right? It's this fascinating intersection of technical know-how and then artistic vision. And it's all being communicated through language, right? There's this one YouTube video and they were showing how by just adding golden hour light to a prompt, you instantly get that warm, that glow.
Totally. And speaking of golden hour, do you remember that article, I think it was called 23 Lighting Prompts to make your Midjourney creations shine?
Yeah, I do.
They had this really cool tip, and it was about using sunbeam instead of just sunlight.
Okay.
And I was thinking, that's such a subtle difference in wording.
It is, but
it totally changes how the final image looks.
Absolutely. Sunlight might give you a generally bright scene, but when you say sunbeam, it's this focused beam of light, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just adds so much depth and drama.
You're instantly transported to a dusty old attic with light streaming in through the crack.
Exactly.
Okay, but what about when you want to change it up and you want to create something super dramatic, like a scene out of a movie, like a thriller?
Yeah, well, for that, a lot of sources recommend using cinematic lighting.
Oh, okay.
And, think about deep shadows, stark contrasts, almost a film noir vibe.
So cool. And speaking of dramatic, one article mentioned using chiaroscuro.
Oh, yes.
Intense contrasts, deep shadows.
Yeah.
Just for a sense of mystery. I mean, it's crazy how specific you can get.
It really is. And what I think is so cool is how a lot of these tutorials are taking these seemingly complex concepts and breaking them down.
Yeah.
High key versus low key lighting, those are terms that come from traditional photography.
Yeah.
But they apply to AI too.
Totally.
High key is bright, low contrast.
Right.
And then low key is darker, moodier.
Right.
And it has those really stark contrasts.
It's like taking these classic photography principles and translating them into this new digital world.
Yeah, it really is fascinating.
And speaking of translating, get this, there's a technique called decatron lighting for creating a natural look, especially for portraits.
Oh, yeah. One YouTuber, they were doing side-by-side comparisons with and without it.
Really?
And the difference was just incredible.
Wow.
Decatron lighting, it really softens the light. And it makes for a much more flattering and realistic look, especially for portraits.
Okay, so we've got sunlight, spotlights, even decatron light.
Right.
What I'm noticing is it's not just about using one light source.
Yeah.
We saw examples of combining natural light with volumetric lighting.
Yes.
To create those really cool beams of light that are breaking through fog or dust.
Exactly. Layering is key. Think of it like you're painting with light.
Oops.
You can combine different types of light just like you would layer colors in a painting to get that effect that you want.
Okay.
And speaking of layering, one of the articles mentioned that you can even incorporate camera settings and it'll make a huge difference.
Wait, really? Like telling Midjourney to use a specific lens or film stock?
Exactly. For example, adding like Kodak Portrait to your prompt, it might give you those really warm, slightly vintage colors
Uh-huh.
that particular film is known for.
Oh, wow.
It's those subtle details that really elevate your AI art.
That's so cool. So you're not just like controlling the light, you're influencing how that light is being captured, just
Right.
like a real photographer would.
It's true, and it just goes to show how AI is really changing the game for creatives. But just like with any tool, the real skill is in knowing how to use it, right?
Totally.
Like one source I was looking at, they were even going beyond just describing the light itself. They were using phrases like shadow play from a window
Oh, wow.
to really bring in that sense of realism.
That's smart. So instead of just saying like shadow, you're telling Midjourney where that shadow is coming from, what's casting it.
Exactly. You're giving the AI more to work with, more information to create that image. And speaking of adding depth, there was this other tutorial that really got into volumetric lighting.
Oh, yeah. That's the one where they explained how it like mimics how light scatters through particles in the air, right? Like
Yeah.
dust or fog.
Yeah.
They showed these amazing examples of how you can create those beams of light, like the kind you always see in like nature photography.
It's a really powerful technique, and it's not even just about being realistic. Volumetric lighting can give your images this like magical quality.
Well, cool.
You know, like an enchanted forest or sunbeams coming through the trees.
I love that. It's like with Midjourney, you're not just stuck with copying real-world lighting. You can create something totally new.
Exactly. And one place where that really comes through is with color.
Oh, right.
We talked about golden hour light and those warm tones, but there are so many other ways to use color to change the mood of your image.
Oh, totally. Like using cold blue moonlight to make a scene kind of creepy.
Exactly. Or how about psychedelic UV lighting to make it feel like a party? Midjourney gives you control over the type of light, the direction, but also the color.
So it's like having a painter's palette, but instead of mixing colors, you're mixing words.
That's a great way to put it. And you know how painters use color theory?
Yeah.
You can use color psychology with AI too.
So like you could use warm colors like oranges and yellows to make people feel happy.
Exactly. Or blues and greens for a more peaceful, calm feeling.
Yeah.
And when you start mixing those different colors of light,
Yeah.
you can create some really complex moods. Think about a sunset, right? Where you have the warm light from the sun, but then the shadows are all cool and blue.
It's amazing how much you can do with just light. Oh, and speaking of doing cool things with color, one source even talked about using color grading techniques like they use in films.
Absolutely. Words like red scale or panchromatic, it's incredible. It's like Midjourney understands all these complicated techniques.
It's like having a whole post-production team built right in.
Right. And you know what we haven't even talked about yet? Rim lighting.
Oh, right. That's where the light hits the subject from behind.
Yeah.
It kind of creates that glow around the edges, right?
Wow.
I remember seeing some really cool examples of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect for making your subjects stand out from the background.
And it can be used in like so many ways. I remember seeing one example where they used it to make a silhouette of a person with like this crazy sunset in the background.
You're dramatic.
But then there was another one where they used it to make it look like a flower was glowing from the inside.
It's so versatile. And you know what I think is really interesting? When you start combining these different techniques,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you can get some seriously cool effects. It's not just about using one thing at a time.
Right on.
It's about understanding how they all work together. Like you could use rim lighting with that volumetric lighting to create a beam of light that seems to wrap around something.
Wow.
Or use like that golden hour lighting with some carefully placed shadow play.
So it's really about experimenting then.
Exactly. Midjourney is all about experimenting and seeing what you can come up with.
And it's like we're not just making pictures, we're making whole worlds, you know, with it, like the light and shadows and everything.
Absolutely. And one thing that really stood out to me was how important it is to use lighting to direct the viewer's eye, just like in a painting or a photo.
Oh, right. Like leading them to the most important part of the image. I remember one article was talking about using spotlights or beams of light to do that.
Exactly. You can use light and shadow to create focal points and even to make the viewer feel a certain way.
It's like you're setting the mood with light.
Precisely. And remember those long, dramatic shadows we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Those can really trick the eye into thinking a scene is three-dimensional.
It's amazing how much difference those little details can make.
Oh.
And catch lights. I almost forgot about that.
Catch lights.
Yeah, those little glints of light in the eyes, they can really make a portrait come to life.
Absolutely. It's often the smallest details that have the biggest impact. Even if you don't know a lot about lighting, you can still get great results by using simple, descriptive words to tell Midjourney what you're going for, like soft, harsh, even just directional.
So it's really all about experimenting and figuring out what works, right?
Absolutely. Think of Midjourney as a tool that can help you explore your creativity.
I love that. Wow, this deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I've learned so much.
It's been fun, and honestly, we've only just scratched the surface of what's possible. There's a whole world of lighting techniques out there to explore.
So for all those listeners out there who are just getting started with Midjourney, what would be the most important piece of advice you would give them?
Don't be afraid to experiment. Have fun with it. Midjourney lets you break the rules of what's possible with light. So be creative, try new things, and see what happens.
I love it. Embrace the freedom. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Until next time, happy creating, everyone.